Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, merci
hello.
comme chaque année,
Thank you
d'avoir rejoint cette belle salle
for
de l'UGC Normandie.
joining this magnificent place,
Cette
UGC Normandie.
70e édition
The 70th
va se trouver dans un
edition
contexte
will be against a
historique français et
historical
international intéressant.
background, French and international,
Quelques jours après le
interesting,
deuxième tour d'une
a few
élection,
days after the second
qui est un film à suspense,
turn of the
et quelques semaines
French
avant
presidential
des
election and a few weeks
élections
before
législatives,
elections to the French
qui,
Parliament.
auront un autre
And
suspense
this will be another suspense,
stratégique
a strategic one for the life of our country, France. I mean, I say that because there are many foreigners here, and this will be a suspended moment with a new cabinet minister, a new government probably, a transitional before the legislative election to the parliament. We'll see, but it will be a suspended time. And when I said it will be a political time, like since every day we have a new move from Donald Trump, I hope North Korea here, Syria there, will not cast a shadow on the 70th edition, that we wish to be stable, happy. We will have the occasion until May 17th, Thierry and I, to announce a certain amount of things that will highlight this party, huge party of the 70th anniversary. Thierry told in his book this magnificent year before 2015 and 2016, all the birth of its election, and today it's its 10th time, 10th selection. It's 10 years later. It's going to be the follow-up of his adventures. There is another book I'd like to tell you about that's going to be released in a few days. That's talk on an idea of Thierry, and we try to contribute. It's called Those Years. 70 years are depicted, 70 years depicted by 58 reporters, 20 from abroad and 38 French reporters. And each and every year is the occasion to say, from a journalistic point of view, very well written, but also a very personalized way, style, due to the anecdote, to the personality, what has been that particular year among the 70 of the Cannes Film Festival for this reporter who picked the year. It's not the year that he has experienced, but something that in his life made it that the festival became part of his own life. It's called Those Years, and it's going to be published in a few days. Let's get, of course, to what is gathering us this morning, all of us. Dear Thierry, the selection 2017.
Merci Pierre, bonjour à tous.
Pierre. Hello,
on est évidemment très content de vous
We're
retrouver.
really glad to see you here today because this is a forerunner for the festival as it closes for us several weeks or months of very intense screening, discussions and negotiations that were concluded yesterday at 3 a.m. as usual. Since we're talking about the 70th anniversary, just to make you feel it, this is the catalogue of the first edition of the Cannes Film Festival in 1946. And this, there was one leaflet a day, a little bulletin, just to make you salivate. You'll be able to come and see it closer. It has a lot of value. Serge Gainsbourg used to say zoom body. For several months with the teams of the Cannes Film Festival, many people and all the reporters who all brought their stone to the building of this event. We don't live in the memories, but we want to revisit the history of this festival and also to see what is about the present and, of course, the future. It is something very pleasant to know what presided over the birth of the Cannes Film Festival in 1939, about its rebirth in 1946, and what makes that always the International Film Festival of Cannes remains what it is, i.e. an event dedicated to art, the seventh art, the cinema, but also dedicated to something which is a meeting, a vision of the world, a promise of a better life together. More and more films are being sent to us each and every year. I have this one of those exercises prepared by our teams. 1930, 1,930 films screened. The digital is not alien to that. Anyone who has an iPhone can say he made a feature film. If it's sent and recorded, it's going to be sent. 1930 films. It was 1,600 in 2010, so it increases. All those movies were seen and screened. And with Christian, we have written to everyone individually to say, since most of those who have shown or sent their film were turned away. So the selection has 49 feature films. 49 feature films. You see the difference between 1960 and 49. 18 in competition, 4 out of the competition, 3 midnight screenings, 1 special screening, and something very special too. And it's going to be, we'll have some additions in the days to come. We would like to do additions. Not to do
on fera donc quelques retouches, si vous le permettez, à la sélection. 29 pays.
29 countries. 29 countries. It's more than usual. It was 27 last year.
Oui, c'était 27 l'année dernière.
Yeah, 27 last year. And 9 first movies will be part of this official selection. We are expecting the 24th and 25th, the selection of the week and of the 2 weeks of the quinzaine. All the first-time directors will make the competition of the Golden Camera, and the president of the jury is Sandrine Kibelin. 9 first movie, it's a lot, it's more than usual. It was 7 last year and 5 in 2014. I'll tell you that 12 female directors, it was 9 previous years, 6 2 years ago, and so on and so forth. Short movies were announced yesterday, but to tell you also that it's 5,000 short movies that were sent and screened. And when I look to all those movies, it enables me to thank all of those who are in the selection committees contributed to build this selection, official selection. I'd like to thank them because not only did they work a lot, in hours it represents a tremendous effort, but I'd like to thank them for their talent and for their input and the way they add to the wealth of our vision of the global world cinema, which is submitted to us each and every year. It is high time to give you the official selection, telling you that in the coming days you will have the Cannes Classic selection and the various events that will make this celebration of the 70th anniversary of the International Cannes Film Festival. Last year we were together April 14th, whereas the 13th of April we didn't move especially forward this press conference. However, we'll have more time. The festival is on the 17th instead of 14th of May. That will enable us to prepare, like Pierre said, this 70th edition. And tell you also that Cannes Classic, a large part of it, of the films selected for Cannes Classic, will be films that are part and parcel of the history of the film festival, and who, in several countries will start with France, have been restored by the countries who are submitting them then. 70th anniversary, mating or matching. the examination of the past, the introspection of the present and the future. We have seen the digital. The Cannes Film Festival in 2002 was the first to show officially digital movies. It was very interesting because it was Alexander Sokurov with a one-shot movie and George Lucas presenting Star Wars. A festival, whatever festival, but the Festival of Cannes is like a laboratory. And Jérôme Paillard, with his teams of the film market, made already booths of films in virtual reality. So we have included this time a virtual reality film in the framework of an exhibition installation, and this film is made by González Iñárritu. He came already several times in competition. He received the Oscar of the Best Film and Best Director, and he made a movie called Carne y Arena, Flesh and Sand, which is a short movie, 6-7 minutes, filmed by Lugansky, the Mexican Chivo. And those are very technical stories with helmets and special glasses. It's going to be for you, mainly for the media. It's an extraordinary piece of work, inputting the assumption that the virtual reality, far from being just a technique, is already an art, a practice, an aesthetical practice used by the directors of today. And nothing could be better than someone like Iñárritu doing it. This installation, like for the rest of the movie, is just a premiere of an exhibition installation that will take place a few weeks after the Cannes Film Festival in Milano at the Prada Foundation, and in Los Angeles and in the Museum of Mexico. And it's a hypothesis. This is something that we're very glad to suggest, to install in this international selection, this exercise of virtual reality, which is a beautiful film. You are shivering when you get out of it, you are very impressed when you get out of it, and it's someone who's coming from Rue du Premier Film. According to the testimonies we have, the way the Lumière brothers impressed people as of 1895, it is said now that virtual reality will take us to imaginary worlds, new worlds. When you're in there, it's already what you feel. You feel like going and see it? Good. So, we're very proud, and to have Iñárritu back to Cannes, and to have Iñárritu in those conditions. 70th edition is the way for some of our friends, filmmakers, those who made a landmark, to come and visit us with works that are not always cinema works. Jane Campion, the only Palme d'Or woman of the film industry, will be back with Top of the Lake, the second stage of a series that we'll show in its integrality. We'll have also an actress that we like a lot. There will be a special short film screening made by artists, and it's Kirsten Stewart who will come and show her a short movie, Come Swim. Abbas Kiarostami will not be here, but he will be here with one of his works called 24 Frames. It's the last works of Abbas Kiarostami, who was about to shoot a feature film about the mix of art, photography, modern art, painting, and the way that the cinema could revise it and review it. It's an experimental movie that is part of the history of the cinema and history of art. Abbas Kiarostami is in official selection. It's a great joy and a pride to have his name with us. It's going to be a way to pay a homage to him. When I was talking about the films of Cannes Classique, who are part and parcel of the legacy of Cannes, a homage will be paid to Andrzej Wajda, who just died, with the Iron Man and a large Polish delegation. And we will have also Lech Wałęsa, who will be part of the delegation, since he's one of the characters of the movie. And among those who want to be present, there is David Lynch, Palme d'Or, president of the jury, and we shall screen 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, the work that sees him coming back behind the camera. Those are the special events, the special events. Special events, the traditional special events. Well, let's start with Al Gore. Al Gore came to present a movie 10 years ago called An Inconvenient Truth. And this film took him into the Nobel Prize, and 10 years later he wants to redo it and called again an inconvenient sequel. And about the climate, about the global warming and the Paris agreements. This is work has always to be restarted, and this is what he did. We shall show this movie. The festival, should it be political or not? We are not political, it's the authors, the filmmakers are political, and we are very proud to present this movie. Like we're very proud to welcome again Raymond Depardon, called 12 Days film, 12 jours in French. It's when someone is imprisoned, and it's taught under the aegis of Michel Foucault. When someone is imprisoned for 12 days and no more, during which you can confirm that this person has to be put in a psychiatric hospital, I mean to say. And Raymond Depardon and Claudine Nougaret put a camera and microphones where usually they are not authorized to be. And this is the movie that will be presented. They, a film by Anahita Gavzinizadeh, the laureates of the Cine Foundation, when they do the first feature movie, are welcomed in the official selection. It's the first movie. Hong Sang-soo filmed last year in a clandestine way, not from a legal point of view. He had all the needed authorization, but Isabelle Huppert was present slightly before and said, "Are you already here?" Yes, because I'm filming. Oh, I'm filming with Hong Sang-soo. It's called Keolewe Kamela, Claire's Camera. It has been filmed quickly, edited quickly, and it's already here. And Hong Sang-soo official selection. Eugene Jarecki, American filmmaker, will present Promised Land. It's not only sung by Bruce Springsteen. I promised to Roche Dizem to put his name in there, but also sung by Elvis Presley. It's a movie about Elvis Presley and on America. The young Elvis inventing rock and roll with some others, embodying the 50s and the 60s, is embodying the 50s and the 60s of America. Elvis becomes someone else, fatter, something else, and maybe embodying another America. According to Eugene Jarecki, led to the election of Donald Trump. And this is the movie that we'll present. Claude Lanzmann told in his self-biography called The Lièvre de Patagonie, an episode that took him to North Korea, where things happened. He decided to make a documentary film about it. And he went back to North Korea 60 years later, after the 50s. The 50s, when this country was under the napalm bombs. And the name of the movie is Napalm. And then Claude Lanzmann, who just celebrated in sad circumstances the death of his son, his 90th anniversary. He will be able to come back to Cannes, and we're glad to welcome him and to have the author of Shoah. Vanessa Redgrave filmed a documentary film called Sea Sorrow. It's a documentary about the refugees, alluding to those helping to refugees, those asking the question about the huge migrations of the beginning of this 21st century. It's the actress and the advocate, Vanessa Redgrave, who made this movie.
si fière d'avoir été choisie qu'elle nous
so
fait un mail
proud
tous les 2 jours pour dire à quel
to
point
be
elle est
with
fière
us,
d'avoir
and
été
she
choisie.
sends us an
Et
email
nous,
every
nous sommes
other
aussi
day
d'accueillir
to
cette
say
grande dame.
how
Demons
pleased
in
she is.
Paradise, c'est un autre documentaire,
Demons
un premier
in
film
Paradise,
de
first
Jude
movie
Ratman,
by
non inconnu,
Jude
mais
Ratman,
illustrera moins après ce documentaire qui évoque
unknown yet,
les
but he will be
questions
much
récentes,
better
politiques,
known
de
after
guerre
the
civile
screening
du
of
Sri
this
Lanka.
movie with
Dans
the
les
problems in
films
Sri
de
Lanka.
minuit,
Midnight
vous
movies now,
étonnerais-je en vous
midnight
disant qu'ils sont
screenings.
trustés par les
They are
Coréens.
trusted by the
Le cinéma
Koreans.
coréen qui depuis une
Korean
quinzaine
cinema for the past
marque
15
les
years is
sélections
highlighting
officielles,
the official selections
de
of
sa
Cannes
force, de
by
sa
its
diversité
strength,
et du
its
talent de ses
diversity,
metteurs en
and
scène.
the talent
Il y en a
of the
2 en
directors.
séance de minuit,
2 in the midnight
2
screenings,
films policiers, 2 films l'un réalisé par
movies, detective stories, one by
Villeneuve,
Jung
et
Byung
l'autre
Gil,
par Yoon
Ak
Sung
Neo,
Yoon,
the villainess,
de Merciless,
and the other one by Byun Sung Hyun, Bulhandang, the merciless. Fantastic movies.
Le film de zombie coréen.
What's the name? Yeah, Train to Busan. When I say that, we had that movie last year. Midnight movies, we show them. You all work a lot, you're not always there, you see them later, or maybe you don't see them, but they live their life like this Train to Busan was a major success in France and in the world, and also in Korea. So look very closely at those 2 films. Jean-Stéphane Sauvert. He was at a certain regard in a film by Mathieu Kassovitz, Johnny Mad Dog. It was a movie about the children soldiers in Africa. This is a movie about the jails in Thailand. Prayer Before Dawn by Jean-Stéphane Sauvert in the midnight screenings. Now, out of competition, shown in the major screening room, Miike Takashi with A Blade of the Immortal, about Japanese swords. Fantastic Japanese swords, which is a subgenre of subgenre, anyway. Miike Takashi, who is one of the most prolific filmmakers of Japan, will be back in official selection, like James Cameron Mitchell, a film that will enable Nicole Kidman to be present and 2 or 3 more times in the films that we will talk about. How to Talk to Girls at Parties. James Cameron Mitchell, this film made by this American filmmaker. And also we will have the screening of a documentary, not really documentary, a fairy tale, a road movie, a visit to the history of France, but not only to the situation in the set of the world. 2 voices made by Agnès Varda and J.R. called Visage, Village, Faces, Villages, out of competition. Agnès Varda, when she received the Golden Palm, the Palme d'Or, told how for the first time, with her reels and the arm, something that cannot be said anymore, came to Cannes. And we're very glad to have her back with this movie. 2 voices, 4 hands, and 2 bodies strolling in the French landscape. Now, we go to Un Certain Regard, 18 movies. I'll tell you only 16 of them, and there'll be some adjustments. This selection will be opened by the film of Mathieu Amalric called Barbara the singer, embodied by Jeanne Balibar, but also embodied by Barbara herself in this movie. What is the first of the 3 French movies in this Un Certain Regard? 2 Argentinian filmmakers filmed La Novia del Desierto, the Desert Bridge, the first movie. It's a kind of Argentinian road movie. They have the space for that. They do a lot of them. Cecilia Tani and Valeria Pivato. Another first movie, Russian, Kantemir Balagov, Tesnota, We've seen a lot of Russian movies, and we talk about Romania, Hungary, and those former East European countries that were feeding a lot of the official selection. Russia was lagging behind somehow, with some nice exceptions. Well, I can tell you that if it's the first movie that we're showing here, we have seen a lot of beautiful opuses that were shown, and that may have us feel that there is here a kind of a rebirth of the Russian movie making in this very beautiful country. Kauter Ben Hania, she's a Tunisian filmmaker. Ala Kaf Ifrit, Beauty and the Dogs. It's a movie made by this young filmmaker, Tunisian filmmaker, and this Un Certain Regard selection. And we know what are the problems of countries like Tunisia and Algeria, but cinema is surviving wherever it can, and we're glad to be the witnesses of it. Second French entry after Mathieu Amalric is Laurent Cantet, Golden Palm, who came with Entre les Murs, Between the Walls. This movie is called L'Atelier, the workshop, L'Atelier, of the city of La Ciotat. Second French entry, and we're glad to have Laurent Cantet back to Cannes. Sergio Castellito, it's a kind of Mamma Roma, contemporaneous one. Anna Magnani is replaced by Jasmine Trinca. The film is called Fortunata, Lucky in English. The Mexican Michel Franco, who had won a prize several times, comes back this time with Las Hijas de Abril, April's Daughter, played by the actress we've seen last year in the film by Julieta de Pedro Almodovar. Last year the festival was highlighted by Tony Herman, the film by Marine Ade. She's also a producer. She's at the heart of a community of movie makers in Germany. She produced Western, a German movie by Valeska Gruisbach, shot in Bulgaria. And you'll see that. Not only the Iranians are doing films in cars and in taxi cabs, you have also the Bulgarians and Stefan Komandarev with this movie called Direction, Posoki. It's very important there. We are, for the 70th edition, in the universality of Cannes, and we're glad to welcome a country like Bulgaria. Georgi Christoph, with Out, from Slovakia. Georgi Christoph, Out. It's about the refugees or the migrants, as they call them in French, looking for work, east, west, north, south. We're very glad to welcome this first movie. Before We Vanish, the name of the new movie by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and The Nature of Time is the first movie of Karim Moussaoui, an Algerian movie, saying a lot in a sketch movie, or not a real sketch movie, about the contemporanean Algeria. Mohamed Rasulov. This movie maker was bothered, so to speak, by the Iranian regime. We had shown his previous film, which was almost a clandestine movie. He comes this time with Dregs, and we're glad to welcome him, and through him, the Iranian cinema. We've seen a lot of films, first films made by young women, about young women. Well, this one is a first movie called Jeune Femme, Young Woman, by Léonore Serrail. I hope we'll see the others with our colleagues of the week, of the semaine, and of the quinzaine, because there's something very amazing in this younger generation. They're bigger sisters are already reached high functions, and there is here a new generation of female filmmakers to take their part. And this is what we see with Léonore Serrail. Taylor Sheridan, you know his name, he's the scriptwriter of Sicario and the scriptwriter of Comancheria. Was presented last year, and this is his first film as a director. It's called Wind River. If you know his work, you can imagine this movie filmed in the Wyoming in an Indian reserve about a murder in the snow. Film happening in snow are always interesting. It's a French theory. I have to establish theories, of course, so that they are countered immediately. It's always the way also for us, and it's going to be the case, to always look at the genre cinema, to do so that this genre cinema will be able to be welcome in a festival like the Cannes Film Festival, or reportedly can be regarded that it's probably not its place. We know that the history of cinema makes some important room. I'm not talking about Hitchcock and John Ford, but people who cut for themselves a genre. We try to make an assumption in vivo and see that those films can be presented in an international film festival, and films of authors, the films made by those authors are also genre movies. Anna-Rita Zambrano's first movie called After the War, first movie about the political refugees in France, the refugees of the lead years, how they have to stop living the life that François Mitterrand enabled them to live here in France by welcoming them if they agreed to leave their arms and to abandon their weapons. And here we talk about the destinies of some of those people who fled Italy, rightfully or wrongfully. Let's get now to the competition. 18 films, like the rest of the selection. It has been decided quite late, because the films came in very late, and because, I mean, it highlighted the Cannes Festival is creating a selection about people who have subscribed, quote-unquote, to the Cannes Film Festival. Fellini, Antonioni, Bergman and Tarkovsky came several times to the Cannes Film Festival. And when we build a competition with a non-negligible share of people who are used to come to Cannes, when those people are not as numerous or are at work, you don't find quite easily how to make a valuable competition. We're very glad, very happy of the films that I will announce the list, but it's also what made that the research for the people in the selection committee was longer, more tense. And we will, at the end of the Cannes Film Festival, make an analysis where, at the closing, they will be presented after 2016, the film that has been awarded the Golden Palm. And the jury will be announced soon. So, starting, I confirm the presence of Andrei Zvyagintsev, Nielyubov, Loveless. And that's it. It's one of the major filmmakers, one of the major voices that appeared in those past years. Andrei Zvyagintsev was here with Leviathan, a film saying that while the parents are bitterly yelling at each other, children are unhappy. It's a formalist movie maker And I hope that you will find there again something who says that cinema is an important art. Conversely, it's their first entering competition. The brothers Safdie, Benny Safdie and Josh Safdie, for a genre movie called Good Time. It's a hold-up with Robert Pattinson that we see back in competition after David Cronenberg and some others, and the films presented outside of competition. Lynn Ramsay, You Were Never Really Here. It's the Joaquin Phoenix. It's a movie we've seen not long ago. It's not finalized. She promised that it will be finalized and will be presented. It's a major director. The Film Cannes Festival is also there to present, and largely so, artists in the cinema industry, and Lynn Ramsay is one of them. French entry in competition, L'Amant Double by François Ozon. I mean, he's shooting one movie a year. He didn't come that often into the competition. And in this Hitchcockian movie, it's always easy to say that, with a psychological suspense, De Palmaïen, so to speak, Cronenbergian, and the French way of saying things. This other genre movie presented by François Ozon. Cornel Mandroukso, who was part of the Cine Foundation, comes back in competition with Jupiter's Moon, following Un certain regard, Wide Mouth, yeah. And here it's a movie as from a Hungarian fantastic film, and talking about the welcome of the refugees in his country. Sergei Loznitsa from Ukraine. It's called A Gentle Creature. Sergei Loznitsa, A Gentle Creature. It's a kind of road movie about the situation of Russia. I mean, deep Russia. The Killing of a Sacred Deer by Yorgo Lanthimos.
Du daim, voilà, pardon, du daim sacré, c'est Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Film en anglais avec Colin
Movie
Farrell,
in English with Colin Farrell, with Nicole Kidman,
qui le voit arriver pour la deuxième fois en compétition.
Seeing him for the second time in competition after Lobster.
Naomi Kawase
comes back with a film called Radiance, Hikari, in Japanese. And I was talking about Hong Sang-soo, this small quote-unquote movie, and now it's coming back with a larger, wider movie, feature film, enabling us to welcome Hong Sang-soo in competition with a film called The Day After, Geo Hu. He made 2 movies this year.
The Day After,
The Day After.
Le jour d'après, c'est un film en noir et blanc.
It's a black and white movie.
Deuxième entrée française.
Second French entry.
Compétition.
In competition.
Le Redoutable.
Le Redoutable by Michel Hazanavicius. He comes for the 3rd time in competition. It's a movie about the Godard years of Anne Wiazemski, adapted from her memories. Todd Haynes will show in competition a movie called Wonderstruck, written by the same scriptwriter as Hugo. Scorsese's Hugo, the same revisiting of the world of childhood. It's a work of an author by Todd Haynes. Michael Haneke's movie, the name could make us think that it doesn't match the content because it's called Happy End. But it's a film that is revisiting the cinema of Haneke himself, like a kind of illustration of the motives, aesthetical motives of his work, political motives. And you will see this movie. He's in this list. And generally speaking, he's the only director having received twice the Palme d'Or, and in a situation to win a third one without wishing to influence the jury. And it's two consecutive movies that received the Palme d'Or.
En fait, c'est à lui que ça va mettre une sorte de, pression.
It's going to put the pressure on him. Third French entry in this competition. It's the film by Jacques Doyon about Rodin. Jacques Doyon didn't come to competition for several years. He came with the short movies at Certain Regards. Not for the French, because we've seen him working, but he was not exhibited or exposed the way he will be this year with this Rodin, this movie called Rodin, and we're happy to see Jacques Doyon, one of the major filmmakers in France. Sofia Coppola is coming back also with a Certain Regard in competition with The Big Wild. It's not a remake of Don Siegel's movie, so you don't need to see Don Siegel's movie to see the one of Sofia Coppola. Another movie with Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, and a series of young actors around Colin Farrell. And one third French movie in competition for the first time in official selection, Robin Campillo, showing 120 heartbeats, 120 battements par minute. Telling about the ACT UP years. It's the creation of this group of militants, activists, when people with AIDS were in real trouble. We had to speed up the access to the right drugs. And we had to raise the awareness of the French and the world society to the plague of AIDS. And by going back to the 90s, this film still talks about the situation today. Bong Joon-ho never came to competition in Cannes. It's going to be the first time with this film, Okja. Very political movie, under the aspect of a comedy, revisiting some topics, some themes that we will have in this selection that are part and parcel of our everyday life, the way we exploit the animals. Fatih Akin was a member of the jury. It's a German movie called Aus dem Nichts, in the Fade, or in the Shade. It's going to be the first movie with the German actress Diane Kruger. The official election is the one I have announced, composed with the Cannes Film Festival that will be opened on May 17th by the film of Arnaud Desplechin, The Phantom of Ismaël. Thank you.
Est-ce que vous avez déjà des questions ou des commentaires, des demandes de précision, des demandes d'accréditation?
Ah, j'ai oublié, évidemment. Comme il est de tradition, j'en avais oublié un. Et on se rend compte toujours que les films qu'on oublie, parce que
I forgot one movie.
Que les films qu'on oublie sont les films dont on finit par parler.
And those we forget, we always talk about them the most. So I will thank you again. Rewind. It's the film by Noah Baumbach, produced by Scott Rodin. First appearance of Noah Baumbach in competition in Cannes, and the film's name is The Meyerowitz Stories. And we shall see a lot of major actors, Adam Sandler and Dustin Hoffman will be there, and we're so glad to see them. So I say it again, Noah Baumbach, The Meyerowitz Stories. Thank you.
et qui traduisent pendant qu'on parle depuis tout à l'heure. Ça, pour
And
ceux
this
qui ne parlent pas le
interpreter
français, ce qui me permet aussi
speaking for those who
de
do not
remercier toute l'équipe
understand
du
French.
UGC,
So I would like to thank the team of the UGC Normandie who is welcoming us again this morning. So thank you again and again for your attention. And we expect your questions.
Après cette année-ci, et après que vous ayez lu
After
ces années-là,
this year, the name of the book. Do you have any questions?
Mervatanios Arbarelium, Égypte, et vous avez parlé de vivre ensemble.
About living together.
Parler plus de vivre
Can
ensemble,
you talk about more? How will we live together in Cannes?
Oui, d'abord, je rechigne toujours un peu à
Well,
pour les films que vous n'avez pas vus, à évoquer
films that you haven't seen.
Quel est le truc marquant de l'année?
I was very cautious about answering this question by love and war. Okay?
Se vivre ensemble.
Living together, vivre ensemble.
Préserver de tout cliché.
I don't want to go into the clichés or to general considerations. Of course, the artists are talking about that a lot in a certain amount of movies. Also, not only by the exaltation of the living together, but also by the lack of living together in some countries. And to answer quite quickly, this vivre ensemble, living together for Pierre and I, for the team of the Cannes Film Festival, for the administrators, the directors, we have some convictions also there, for the mayor of Cannes, David Lisnard, are living together, since we're talking about that. It's a festival that we would like to be joyful, collective, human, and altogether also do so that would be able to think deeply into what's going to happen in terms of cinema, major events, cultural events, what is embodying a festival, and some values like the red carpet, the glamour, how to put all this together.
Bonjour, merci infiniment pour votre
Hello, thank you for this magnificent festival. Does it happen that a film that you refused last year, you will take it this year?
Vous pensez à un exemple précis?
Do you have an example?
Ah oui, oui, le film de Mohamed Rassoulov.
Mohamed Rassoulov. Of course, it's an Iranian asking this question. It was presented to us unfinished, and we couldn't put it in the selection. This time, it's not the same movie, not exactly the same. So we didn't turn it down. It was not finalized. And it's not the same movie. It happens sometimes that some filmmakers, like films that are not ready and unhappy, were announced too quickly, because some movies were announced and will not be in Cannes because they're not finished. We haven't seen them. Well, some things like that can happen. Some movie makers sometimes prefer to wait. The Tree of Life, in front of you I had the very morning cancelled the announcement, and then it was shown again to us a few months later to be reselected again and get the Palme d'Or. I mean, technical stories of the kind, we have a lot of them.
Oui, monsieur.
Igor Buskov, Radio Russe et Europe Plus.
Igor Buskov, Russian radio.
Parce que vous n'avez pas annoncé.
You didn't announce the jury.
C'est une question, pas à dire quel pays ou quoi.
Not which country.
C'est une sorte de suggestion. Parce que c'est bien connu.
It is well known that it's not only the selection which is important. The members of the jury are also in the light.
Pourquoi?
My question.
Petite représentation de professions qui participent dans la création des films. Évidemment, les acteurs, metteurs en scène, les producteurs, les acteurs.
Little representatives of the profession itself.
Une fois par 10 ans, il y a caméraman. Une fois par 20 ans, il y a créateur de musique.
Every 10 years, there is a cameraman.
On peut porter plus d'attention pour les autre métiers qui existent.
Once every 20 years, a composer of film music. Why so little attention for those people who work in the cinema industry?
Et je ne me souviens pas du tout la présence de grands critiques du cinéma.
Remember any presence of critics in of movies.
À ce moment, pour les critiques du cinéma, c'est pas facile d'exister.
So it is not easy to exist today in this world of new media for the cinema critics. So why aren't they part of the jury? I thought it would be a Russian question, but it's a more general one. Thank you. Thank you for a question. Just one remark. Don't overgeneralize. It's not such a long time that Alexandre Desplat was at the jury a few years ago. We had not too long time ago a writer and a critic, Peter van Bach, Finnish historian and film critic who died a few months ago. Katayoun, the producer, the Iranian producer, was present. It is true that the tradition, the one that I followed, and with Pierre we decided to perpetuate, is that the jury is in majority composed of artists. Your question is legitimate, of course. We are told those things time and again. I hope we'll meet your expectations here and there. Not only yours, but expectations of other people. But look at the jury of the Caméra d'Or, the Golden Camera, where the profession of the filmmaking are represented. Yes, we pay attention to those issues, and we try to let go to a categorization of the members of the jury and something like quotas. No. In spite of what is being said, it's enough of those actresses in the jury. When Nicole Kidman is at the jury, when she starred with Stanley Kubrick, I think she has to say something about movie making. And we shouldn't reduce actresses or actors to people who are only able to walk on the red carpet. When we hear them talk about movies, it's worthwhile. Hello, thank you for those explanations, crystal clear explanations. I'd like to know, regarding this new program, highlighting the Serb young cinema. Why no movies from the former Yugoslavia, except Leila? Well, other countries always ask why their country is not represented. I'll give you the classic answer. Over 200 countries at UN, at UNESCO, and only 49 movies in selection. So why? My answer is because, or as you highlight, there are already things coming from Serbia, countries represented that were not and who are represented this year. It depends about the movies. It's interesting not be ready to do it, to explain the journey of the selection. And there are indeed countries where we feel a renewed vitality. Do you like this non-answer?
Bonjour.
Hello.
Gaël Gollen de Première. Je crois que je sais que le Bombach et le film
Bombach, Bob Jr. are two Netflix movies. I'd like to know if the screening in Cannes will be the only one in a movie theater in France. Two movies are two different cases. Bombach was acquired. It is produced by Scott Rudin, the New York producer, who is used to come to Cannes. And we'll see what's going to happen. Regarding Bong Joon-ho, it's a production, a Netflix production, but I think that a distributor is trying to make it so that it's going to be released in theaters. Now, I'm not going to play it stupid and try to answer your question. In fact, there are two new players who appeared in the past years. Amazon and Netflix are two new operators for the movie makers, for the producers, and two new operators for the festivals. Amazon has one movie, and they're released. Todd Haynes more films last year in competition. Park Chan-wook, Jarmusch. And regarding the situation of Netflix, it's a unique and unheard of situation. And after discussing it at length with Pierre and Lescure and with some directors of the film festival, the Cannes Festival is a lab. So you have new operators. It's not a film of a platform. It's a cinema movie. We'll not have a discussion here that even series, unless proven otherwise, are using the classical art of movie making and of the cinema narration. Habias Kiarostami are doing it their way, and they have progressed the language of the images. But we have a movie that we have seen, an hour 50, which is a product of cinema. We do not say that the choice is a final choice or symbolic of anything. Bong Joon-ho is a very important movie maker of the day. Memories of Murder will be re-released again in a restored copy. He made a movie, he showed us the movie, we liked it, and it's in the selection.
Bonjour, Leslie Zhang de l'agence presse Chine Nouvelle. J'ai une question sur le film chinois. C'est comme l'année
dernière,
aucun film chinois n'est entré
no Chinese movie in the official selection. My question is not why you didn't choose it. How many Chinese films did you receive? And how do you judge them? In the add-ons I referred to earlier, there might be a Chinese movie. We didn't see more Chinese films than previously, but there are discussions that we didn't finalize, and we might finalize later. And the Chinese film, Chinese cinema, is stretched out between a author cinema, classical, the way we understand it here in Europe and in Cannes, and a more commercial cinema, more aimed at those multiplexes, theaters opening in your country. It is a cinema we do not see, almost not, that is not shown to us. And when we see it, this is not exactly the kind of thing we should present in Cannes. Spanish EFE press agency. Why this lack of Spanish or Latin American movies in competition? Due to the situation. People are laughing in the audience. Sometimes there are Spanish movies, and you don't come to say, oh, there is a Spanish movie. Well, last year, I mean, Pedro Almodovar will represent Spain. Maybe next year there's going to be more Spanish movies. I had a question. Two series of Cannes filmmakers. The Town Hall of Cannes said there's going to be a festival of series in Cannes. What is your reaction? It's called Cannes Series. It's going to be called Cannes Series. It should start next April. We'll be very watchful the way it's going to happen in the agenda. It should be complementary. They shouldn't overlap. But how do we see it? We look at a French situation that seems surrealistic, with 3 or even 4 series festivals. But we see that as a normal evolution of the production of cinematography and audiovisual. All of you present here are looking at a lot of films. If not, you wouldn't be here. It's part and parcel of your professional and personal life, and you look also at several series. If those series are the work of filmmakers that are moving back and through from cinema to series. We're slightly amazed that in France we have 3.5 series festivals, and we shall see that everything will be able to living together, and we will like to have some more important than the parts. You know that our colleagues in Berlin opened a section for series. It's not our intention. The Cannes Film Festival is a festival of films. It's an art of prototypes, always different for the images. He's not the only user of images. And this is why those two series are signed David Lynch and Jane Campion, who are filmmakers and friends of the Cannes Film Festival, that were showing their films or their works. It's always a way to giving news about people that we like. Question from an Indian reporter. Always same question about India. Where do we stand with the Indian cinema? How many Indian films did you receive this year? Films from India? Well, yeah. No, try to come up with an answer different from the one of last year. You didn't have any Indian movie last year? Zero? And zero this time. We see a lot of Indian movies. Yeah, Indian movies. Well, what can I say? It's a great country for movies, yes. No, look. It's the situation making that we did not.
Je te laisse un peu seul.
I'll leave you alone on this one, yeah.
Merci de cette.
And thank you for your question.
This
being said, if there is an Indian movie in the ads on, it's not going to be because of your question. Same goes for the Chinese cinema.
Oui, madame.
Yes.
Non. C'est fini?
Non. Bon.
Non.
Thank you. No? Yeah, one last.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Je voudrais poser une question à Monsieur Lescure.
Question for Mr. Lescure. If I remember well, some years ago you talked about a new meeting, a new rendezvous in the foreign cities to wave links with China or United States. Can you elaborate on this project? I will not answer today. We thought about it. We worked on that with Thierry and the teams of the film festival all through the past year and a half, and we set a goal to make it in the most successful way, the 70th edition of the film festival. And so we left it aside, and as of September we shall resume work on this project, like in Romania, Argentina, the Cannes Film Festival around the world. This is my answer.
Voilà, j'ai une petite question. Est-ce que les ajouts peuvent concerner la compétition?
Adds on, can it be in the competition?
Et ensuite, est-ce que vous avez vu le film d'Abdelatif Keshish?
Have you seen the movie by Abdelatif Keshish? Because he said that he cannot show it to Cannes.
Ah non, à Nice Matin?
No, he showed it to Nice Matin. A daily, a French daily.
Ah oui, oui, là.
Ah d'accord, vous êtes pile sous le flash. On ne parle jamais des films.
We never talk.
On ne parle que des films.
I mean, we talk only about the movies who are in the selection. So I'll say that I will not talk about the film of Abdelatif Keshish, or just to say that what you know, that he is, it's work in progress.
Et je préciserai,
And I'll add,
comme ça vous évitera de poser
so you will not have to ask a question again. No, we didn't see. He's at work.
Joël Hirstel, Satellifax, ici au centre. Je voudrais évoquer le partenariat avec Canal+.
Partnership with Canal+ that has been renewed 2 years ago.
Dans votre livre, Monsieur
In your book, Mr. Frémaux, that I read with a lot of attention, you are saying or writing. You're writing that the MOU, I mean the spirit, has not been respected. The spirit of the agreement. Where do you stand? I didn't say that. What I was saying is that Canal+ perfectly abided by the terms of the contract. Then the channel was perfectly free, and the strategic decision not to renew what was the tradition of some of the broadcasts. And my book is a book of impressions. I noticed, and I was not the only one, where we were used to have an atmosphere in Cannes. There was nothing last year, but it already happened between those two broadcasts of Canal+, where they're not present anymore on the Cannes Film Festival. We were told that the red carpet was a past story, something of the past. So I didn't say anything, it was my impression. Pierre.
Le contrat de 2 ans
the 2-year contract of last year was signed for 2 years, but usually our partnership of television goes on 3-year span. We did 2 years because when I landed, there were a discussion with the previous team in charge of Canal+, making that we went through that year without any contract. So when we signed with the incoming team, we agreed, okay, the year where there was no contract is first year, we'll do 2 more years, and we'll come back to June 2017 at the end of the discussions for a contract. There can be a tacit reconduction or a new competition, or maybe who will be candidate together with Canal. And you know that in those discussions there are many parameters, involvement of the group or of the channel in the movie industry. Canal remains involved in the movie industry. There is the economic issue, the interest of the festival, and the shared project that we can develop, and audience also. But Canal has a special status because even if the group has clear channels, it remains closed channels, encrypted channels. There's a discussion, but all this will be led after the negotiation with Canal and the TV of the festival together with Orange also for the 70th edition. I hope I answered your question.
Bonjour, c'est Laura Putti de La Repubblica.
La Repubblica, Italy.
Au centre. Vous avez commencé...
Je regarde parce qu'il y a des gens... Vous pouvez arrêter de filmer là-bas, s'il vous plaît? Voilà.
Vous avez commencé... Je peux?
Oui, justement, c'est pour que, c'est pour que ces gens-là vous écoutent vous, au lieu qu'ils s'écoutent eux-mêmes.
Voilà, bonjour. Vous avez commencé par parler de politique. Moi, je vous parle de sécurité.
I'm talking about security. Do you foresee, after the past problems we had, a more secure festival? What will happen in terms of security? We are in a political sequence. It was not an information. And I said also that this film festival
on avait bien l'intention qu'il soit
we
sinon
want it to
une
be
parenthèse, en tout cas
not
une
a parenthesis,
respiration,
but a
qui à la
time
fois
for
allait permettre de
breathing
parler
that
que
will
de
enable
cinéma,
to talk only
mais
about
le cinéma
cinema,
étant le reflet du
but
monde,
cinema being
forcément,
the image
vous
of the
l'avez vu dans la
world, or the
sélection,
reflection of
dans
the
les
world.
sélections,
You've seen it in the selections that Thierry has presented to us. We talk about the world, we talk about politics and the major issues of interest to France and to the whole world. Just to cast a light on the word politic that I used. Of course, with a government appointed on Monday, a new president, a new cabinet minister in charge of culture, can, in its French organization, cannot ignore politics, and so goes for all the festival goers. About security, last year, the French services, security services, the regional, departmental, the city of Cannes, and modestly our share also was a model. There were no serious incidents. There was a security organization at its maximum. We have the feeling that it has been for you a minimum of problems. You didn't experience it. I mean, it was not a heavy weight for you. It was not constraining, not more than when you go to a movie theater or to a public place. Since the events that you know of have started, we are and will remain under a state of emergency. Tens of thousands of guests are accredited. Our cinema lovers will be in Cannes in May. The same organization will be there with the National Security Service, Regional and Local Security Service, and the teams of the festival each and every morning. Everything will be made in the same mindset, the same precision, the same efficiency, and I hope the same results as last year.
Pour conclure, je voudrais évoquer juste évidemment le développement du site internet.
About the internet website and thank the teams who are working on that. Confirm that the welcome party will be again with the same group. And
qu'un grand dîner, parmi les grands dîners de célébration qui seront organisés
among all the dinners, there will be a large dinner party together with you, maybe not all of you, but some of those who will be there and who are not here today, for a large media dinner, because media has done a lot for the legend of Cannes, for its history, for its brand, its prestige, and it's going to be, with this book, also a way to pay homage and to thank you all for being here this morning. See you soon.
Merci.
Thank you.